What's up, Wild Ones? Ariana here. We are back again. I am a licensed vet tech, and today we actually have our first kind of like request for a video. If you haven't yet seen, I had a first day as an ER technician video. That is up. I'll leave it up somewhere in the card, little eye thing, that thing. It pops up. Yeah, pick that one. One of the comments down below had said, make more videos like this. So I thought, because I have never been in the ER before and this is all brand new to me, I thought that this would be something that other people would want to kind of learn about my experience and going from general practice to ER and how it is 2 months later. And for my commenter that recommended that I do another video like this, thank you. I appreciate it. That made my whole day. If you haven't already, check out my website at savethewildones.org. Check that out. Down at the bottom of the first page is the link to my Paws, Claws, and Fins Co. store on Teespring. 10% of the proceeds of all of the Paws, Claws, and Fins Co. store goes directly into the Save the Wild Ones fund to help wildlife rescuers and animal shelters and anybody out there that needs a little bit of financial help trying to help save the wild ones. Helping us with our mission, guys. That's what this fund is going towards. Yeah, so let's just get right into it, I guess. So, week 1, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Week 2 is where it started to get a lot more difficult. I'm used to an 8-doctor practice where each doctor has their own way of doing things and everybody's different. Everybody has their own protocol. They all have different drugs that they prefer to use. That tends to get frustrating after a while for most people. This practice that I am now at, it is a corporation. And because it's a corporation, they share doctors. So there are some doctors where I've been there 2 months now where I've seen them twice so far. And so it gets a little bit difficult in that sense. So one doctor likes it a certain way, another doctor likes it another way. So from week 2 to about now still, it's been that way. And you work with different technicians and they do things differently. And so because I had started off at a marine mammal hospital working with dolphins and whales and turtles and seahorses and things of that nature, and then started off as an overnight technician at the practice that I was at, and then I switched to being an orthopedic technician. So you go from marine mammals to being an overnight by yourself to bones and kneecaps and ligaments in the knee. That's the only experience I had. So going into an emergency and not really having the baseline knowledge that you need to perform any of the other things that I've done. So I was way more behind than I actually thought that I was going to be, which is difficult for me because I go into most jobs that I have where by day 2 or 3, you can kind of leave me by myself and I kind of got the gist and I know how the things work and I can run with it. There is so much information that comes at you in an emergency clinic setting, and if you have no experience whatsoever, it is different than where you're used to. I can almost guarantee it. If you have not experienced it at all, then it is going to be overwhelming. Going into this, becoming an ER technician is going to probably be one of the most difficult facets of veterinary medicine that you're going to get yourself into. With that being said, I'm not gonna lie, it was so discouraging. I have never been in a situation like that where I felt so not confident in my abilities. And the unfortunate part is I am very competent and I know that, but because it's an overwhelming situation, it's difficult for me. So I can understand why most people would find it difficult and want to leave. Now that being said, to get through that difficultness, this is what I've done. Number 1, I write everything down. I made a joke about it in my first video. I didn't write anything down in the beginning, and the first 2 weeks that screwed me. First week that screwed me. So I religiously carry this little book around because this is going to be useful if you're just out of school and want to get into an emergency type setting. This is going to be your best friend. I feel like I just got out of school and this helps me wonders ever since I started doing it. What I like about my system is because each day I have, my patients and things that I've written down, and I've had the things that I need to go through that I still need to look up. things. If you hear something, and this is what I've been doing, when I hear something that I don't recognize or I don't remember or I know the word but can't tell you what it is, write it down. Then all I'm carrying in my pockets is this, which is wonderful. The other thing that I've been doing is continuing education. I have a lot of CEs that I have to go through, but that is going to be the #1 thing to get that extra supplementation at home. So if you're about to go into an emergency, I recommend finding any kind of continuing education that you can find on an emergency topic. I have a running sticky note every single day of the things that I need to go ahead and look, and then I can remember it because I put the situation to a name. #3, as far as how I'm adjusting and how I'm handling it, is going into work and taking my pride out of it. Let me just let you in on a secret. That's not easy for me to do. So I've been struggling, but it is getting easier. I am pushing through it, and it is getting easier because I'm not letting that bother me. But on the flip side, I'm coming home and I'm solely focusing on myself. I'm leaving the stuff that I do at work. Thankfully, I have the opportunity where I can watch CEs and do stuff at work when there's nothing else to do. I've been not putting my work into my home life so I can keep it all at work. I think that's a huge key as far as what's helped. And I've also just been trying to be easier on myself. I've talked to my boss and let her know, I feel very overwhelmed, and I'm sorry if, people are getting irritated, because that's just it. You have some people that are teachers and they want to teach, and then you have people like I usually am, so I can't even really hate them all for that, where they know other people know how to do it, so they're going to ask them to do it. I even know that they're doing it, and I initially take offense to it. And I have to talk myself out of it, saying, listen, this isn't personal, but you don't know what the heck you're doing right now, and it needs to get done. So just pay attention to what's getting done. Don't sit there and stew about how upset you are and how offended you are. Pay attention to what it is that's happening, and then next time you can do it. Because if you sit there and whine about the fact that you're upset that your feelings got hurt, you could be paying attention and be able to do it next time, and that's when your employer's impressed. There are a few things that I also wanted to touch on that I feel like I would have wanted to know, or feel like there's nothing out there regarding these questions, that I had these questions that I wanted answered but couldn't find them. So here they are. If you come from a general practice or a specialty or a very special facet of veterinary medicine, you will not be prepared. Go into it knowing that, so you're not disappointed in yourself when you think you know nothing. You know things, and you know things probably the people in ER don't know, and that's just how vet med works. Number 2, the whole vibe of an emergency specialty is different from general practice. That doesn't make it bad, but that means it's going to be an adjustment, and it's something to think about going into it. Now, the vibe that I'm talking about, it's very serious. It's very technical. You're using the correct terminology to things. You're communicating in a professional setting like that. You have to have a large knowledge of things and how they work to be able to help a client to understand why it is that you're doing what you're doing. It is a whole other playing field, and you have to work your way up to that level, or you're just, there's not going to be much respect. And rightfully so, because it's serious. It's life or death most of the time, and it's very much important to take it seriously. Another thing, the sole reason for leaving the job that I was at, not only finances, which played a big part of it, but because I was getting burnt out, and very much burnt out from it, and I needed to change. And a lot of that had to do, like I said, with the finances that played into the burnout, but it also didn't realize how much it was everything else as well. Now, COVID-19 has not helped any of this, because people are nasty to people at the ER, and they're nasty to people in general practice too. Overall, people are very triggered by their pets during this time, and it's difficult. And so if you're going leaving a practice knowing you're very close to burnout or you're already there, I can guarantee you entering an emergency type setting is going to make it worse before it gets better. I was, with how upset I was, I wanted to walk out 2 weeks into it, but I took a step back and I'm just going with the flow and giving it time. The thing about being an emergency is it is a very good thing to have on a resume, and it's a very good experience to have in any kind of facet of veterinary medicine. You see a lot, you hear a lot, and that is good. It is like going to school. So if you're burnt out, you got to think about it. Is it going to be a good decision? Because it will be stressful. I'm not even going to try and lie to you because I feel like most people would. It's going to suck. So if it's going to drain you even more, maybe you should find a different path. Just an option. So this is number 2. So the first thing that I was afraid of going into this field is having to give clients those big bills. I have had the experience of having to take my pet to an ER and they're in a very compromised state. It is life or death, and I know this. And I know it's going to be a big bill. I've been handed the $2,000 bill, $3,000 bill, and been told we need to do $800 worth of diagnostics to be able to distinguish between which big bill we were going to get. And at that point I had to say, well, I don't even have $800, so how much is it to euthanize because my pet is going to die miserably if I don't euthanize because I can't treat it. I've had to make that decision, and that decision sucks. And so I'm very much aware of people coming into a practice and my emergency and saying, listen, my pet's dying, and I have to read an estimate out to them that's about $4,500. But they get up that high. Takes so much money to run the machines and to have everything you need to be able to diagnose quickly and treat quickly. And unfortunately, that's what racks these bills up. To keep people there 24 hours, to stay open 24 hours, all of these things factor into price. I am much aware of this, and that's why I hold no grudge to the people that handed me that bill and I had to make that choice. That being said, people don't think that way. And to give someone that big bill is hard. I've been yelled at, and I've been told that I don't give a shit and all I care about is the money. I'm not giving you a huge bill because I want to fill my pockets, because that's not how it works. I don't make commission. I, as your vet tech who's relaying this bill to you, it has nothing to do with me or my pockets. I just know I'm here and I want to help save your pet, and that is the whole reason why I went to school, and it hurts when someone turns around and just assumes because they're upset and grieving and panicked because their loved one is hurt. It sucks. It does suck. It was something that I was afraid of, and it is something that does continue to not be pleasant. But in the same respect, there's a way to be able to make it not so bad, and it's just a part of the job, and it's something that I know eventually will get a little bit easier, and that's how people get burnt out. So, fingers crossed for that one. The veterinary world and working in the animal field in general, experiences is worth the same price as gold. You rack up your experience rather than racking up like the dollar amount. Anybody in the animal world is gonna laugh and know that that's the truth. You gain experience, and the more experiences that you have and the more knowledge that you have and rounded knowledge that you have, the more valuable you are. So I'm sticking it out, and part of me thinks that my heart still lives in surgery, and maybe one day I'll make my way back there. Maybe one day I'll work in wildlife. Maybe this will be my new job. I don't know. But right now I do know that emergency is where I'm staying. So I hope all of these tips and tricks and lessons that I've learned and ways that I'm handling things is helpful for you. Why is that always so hard? Helpful for you. Like I said, I don't see much of this stuff online, and I know I've looked for it on YouTube, so I'm hoping I didn't bore you. I'm hoping I could have fun editing things, I guess, to make life easier. Now I'm rambling. So anything you want me to know, leave it down below. I try to respond back as much as I can. And with that being said, stay safe, stay wild, be nice. Bye guys.